Good day to everyone. Today, we will be discussing about sociological perspective of the self. Sociology is derived from the Latin word socius, meaning society, and the Greek word logos, which means study or science. Therefore, sociology means the study of society. Sociology is the study of human behavior. It refers to social behavior, society, patterns of social relationships, social interaction, and the culture that surrounds everyday life. It is a social science that uses various methods of empirical investigation and critical analysis to develop a body of knowledge about social order and social change. Sa sociology, pinag-aaralan kung paano ang mga taong nakapaligid sa atin ay nakakaapekto sa ating pag-iisip, sa ating mga paniniwala at pamumuhay. At sa lesson na ito, tatalakayin natin kung paano na ang mga taong nakapaligid sa atin ay nakakaapekto sa paghubog ng ating katauhan. George Herbert Mead. George Mead was born on February 1863 in Massachusetts, USA. His main interests were philosophy and psychology. During the span of his career, he wrote and published many articles and book reviews but did not publish any book. It was his students who put together his numerous writings and edited them for publication. Social behaviorism is the approach George Mead used to describe the power of the environment in shaping human behavior. Naniniwala siya na ang self ay nade-develop through social experience. Halimbawa, ang kasabihang, "Tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are." Kapag ang grupong kinabibilangan mo ay kilala sa pagiging matulungin sa kapwa, ganon din ang tingin ng mga tao sa iyo. Isa pang halimbawa, ang salitang bad influence. Kapag ang mga kaibigan mo ay kilala bilang mga mandurugas at mapang-abuso, gayon din ang inaasahan ng mga taong gagawin mo dahil naniniwala sila na ang mga taong nakapaligid sa atin ang humuhubog sa ating pagkatao. According to Mead, the set of stages which the person undergoes in the course of his development are as follows: the preparatory stage, the play stage, and the game stage. First, the preparatory stage. At this stage, children's behaviors are primarily based on imitation. It was observed that children imitate the behaviors of those around them. Halimbawa, sa bahay. Noong mga bata pa tayo ay madalas nating gayahin ang mga ginagawa ng ating mga magulang. Sinusuot natin ang kanilang mga naglalakihang damit at sapatos at ginagaya natin ang kanilang mga kilos. Next, the play stage. At this stage, children begin to role play and pretend to be other people. Role-taking in the play stage, according to Mead, is the process of mentally assuming the perspective of another person to see how this person might behave or respond in a given situation. Dito lumalawak ang ating pananaw sa buhay. Marahil na rin sa kadahilanang sa stage na ito, tayo ay nagsisimula na pumasok sa paaralan at mas marami na tayong nakakasalamuha liban sa ating mga magulang, kapatid at kamag-anak. Dito na tayo nagkakaroon ng mga kaibigan at nakikipagkapwa sa iba't ibang uri ng mga tao. And lastly, the game stage. Here, the child is about 8 or 9 years of age and now does more than just a role take. In one instance, the child begins to consider several tasks and various types of relationships simultaneously. Through the learning that were gained in stage 2, the child now begins to see not only his own perspective, but at the same time the perspective of others around him. In this final stage of self-development, the child now has the ability to respond not just one, but several members of his social environment. George Mead explained that the person's capacity to see the self through others implies that the self is composed of two parts, the I self and the me self. The me is considered the socialized aspect of the individual. The me represents learned behaviors, attitudes, and expectations of others and society. This is sometimes referred to as the generalized other. The me is considered a phase of the self that is in the past. The me has been developed by the knowledge of the society and the social interactions that the individual has gained. The I, therefore, can be considered the present and the future phase of the self. The I represents the individual's identity based on the response to the me. Charles Horton Cooley. Charles was an American sociologist who made use of socio-psychological approach to understand how societies work. In his written work, Human Nature and the Social Order, he discussed the formation of the self through interaction. He stated that people learn who they are through their social interaction with other people. Although seeing oneself is based on contemplating one's personal qualities, the view of the self is also significantly influenced by the impression and the perception of others called the looking glass self, or the self that is a product of social interaction. He believed that the process of developing self has three phases. The first, people imagine how they present themselves to others. Iniisip natin kung maayos ba yung mukha ko, ayos ba yung damit ko, magulo ba yung buhok ko. And then, next, people imagine how themselves evaluate them. Ano kaya yung tingin nila sa akin? Mukha ba akong mabait? Mukha ba akong strikta? O mukha ba akong masungit? And lastly, people develop some sort of feeling about themselves as a result of those impressions. It is noticed that in these three phases, made use of the word imagine. Imagine lang kasi iniisip lang natin siya. This may mean that there is a possibility that people develop self-identities based on the wrong perception of how others see them. Wrong perceptions, however, can still change based on positive social experiences. Irving Goffman. Irving Goffman was a Canadian-American sociologist known for his role in the development of modern American sociology. One of his popular work was the presentation of the self in everyday life. In this work, he wrote how he observed that people early in their social interactions learn to slant their presentation of themselves in order to create preferred appearances and satisfy particular people. He referred to this process of altering how the person presents himself to others as impression management. In Goffman's observation of people in everyday interactions, he sees similarities of real social interaction to a theatrical representation. This is the reason for the labeled dramaturgical approach to his view. Maaaring iba tayo kumilos sa bahay at sa paaralan o opisina. Iba ang mga pinapakita nating pag-uugali sa mga kasama nating kamag-aral at iba din sa mga kaibigan natin. Maaaring tahimik at mahimik ka sa paaralan at maingay ka naman sa bahay. Kada taong nakakasalamuha natin ay iba ang pinapakita nating pag-uugali. Albert Bandura. His famous social learning theory emphasizes the importance of observing and modeling the behaviors, attitudes, and emotional reactions of others. Bandura states that learning would be exceedingly laborious if people had to rely solely on the effects of their own actions to inform them what to do. Fortunately, most human behavior is learned observationally through modeling. From observing others, one forms an idea of how new behaviors are performed, and on the latter occasions, this coded information serves as a guide for action. Vicarious learning or observational learning occurs when a person is motivated to learn by watching someone else work and be rewarded. People are motivated to imitate models who are highly competent, expert, and receive attractive reinforcers. For example, sa business, ngayon maraming nagtatayo ng mga milk tea shop sapagkat nakikita nila na marami tumatangkilik sa produktong ito. Next, self-reinforcers. This refers to the desired outcomes a person can give themselves. Person can reward themselves for success. For example, sa paglilinis ng bahay, upang maengganyo ang mga bata na tumulong sa gawaing bahay, matapos na maglinis ay maghahanda si nanay na masarap na merienda bilang reward sa mga anak. Next, self-efficacy. This refers to the person's belief about their ability to perform a behavior successfully. People will only be motivated if they think they have the ability to accomplish the task. Katulad sa pag-aaral, mas inaaral natin ang mga subjects na gusto natin kahit mahirap ito sapagkat mas nag-e-enjoy tayong aralin nito at iba ang kasabikang nararamdaman kumpara sa pag-aaral sa mga ibang subjects. Karl Marx defines self-estrangement as the alienation of man's essence, man's loss of objectivity, and his loss of realness of self-discovery, manifestation of his nature, objectification, and realization. A person may feel alienated from others and society as a whole. A person may feel alienated by his work by not feeling like he has meaning to his work, therefore losing his sense of self at the workplace. Self-estrangement contributes to burnout at work and a lot of psychological stress. Halimbawa, minsan dumarating tayo sa punto na pakiramdam natin hindi na tayo kailangan ng mga taong nakapaligid sa atin. Namistulang nawalan na tayo ng silbi na parang kahit anong gawin natin ay di na nila tayo kailangan at di na nila na-appreciate ang ating mga ginagawa. You feel like you're never enough, and that's the feeling of self-estrangement.